What is my role? Why have I come to talk to you? It is not because I think I have something better than you. You all have the same thing I have. Nobody is different. I have come to share this thing with you as my service, as my seva to my master. I am just carrying out an order which is like an opportunity for me to do seva. Now what is seva? Service. Service means doing something without expecting a reward, but you get rewarded anyway. But you should not expect a reward. If you expect a reward, it's not seva. Service for anybody, service for master, service for people, is all good service. Don't expect any reward. Reward comes indirectly. When great master was alive, and in the dera where he lived, there was no electric power. So weather was very hot, so people used to fan him. And this sevadars, or those who were doing this particular seva, carried a big fan. And when he was speaking, they held the fan behind him and they waving the fan. And I wanted to also do that seva. So I was very small and young, but I one day stepped up and I said, I want to do the seva. And the man who was doing the fanning, he said, get away, you're too small for this. The great master sitting in the chair. And he's saying, get away, you are too small for the seva. Great master said, give him the fan. I can't forget these things. And he had to give the fan. I got up on the stage, and the fan was as big as I was, I think. And I fanned him. That was seva. What I'm doing today is no different. Seva is seva, doesn't matter what. Do not think there's a better seva or worse seva. Seva is an opportunity, which is great. What happens if we do seva? What happens if we truly doing seva without expectation? It is hitting our own ego. Our ego wants returns for everything. Ego invests to get a return in everything, in every action. And seva is no return, and therefore it's an offering. They used to say there are three kinds of seva. Seva with wealth. People give a donation. We give donation to church, to temple. We give donations for even these functions. Sometimes you give donations for the arrangements, cost of arrangements made. Seva with wealth is the easiest seva. Write a check and you are done. Give a little cash and you are done. It's the simplest seva. The next higher seva is seva with the body. You carry something, you cook something, you do is a better seva. The best seva is seva with the mind. What does seva with the mind mean? That use the mind as an offering. Use meditation as an offering. Every day we meditate to get something. One day say, I am meditating as an offering to the Master. That's the best seva. If you meditate as an offering, that meditation will be more successful than the meditation you say, I want to get some results and see what happens. So there can be seva in everything. So you can do seva of all three kinds, and it has great value. The seva levels ourselves. I remember there was a colonel here, and he wanted to be a disciple of the Master. So he would take some flights. He was an Air Force colonel in the United States, and he would take flights and wanted to go to a place called Beas, B-E-A-S, Beas. When he used to fly over the map, he would look at the map, he used to pronounce it bees and miss it. He told me the story himself, that I missed the dera where I wanted to go many times because I thought bees and I want to go to Beas. The spelling was the same, of course. One day he landed up there and he saw a lot of people working, doing what is called mitti seva, carrying dirt, carrying mud on their heads for some building or some work that was going on in the dera. And he saw so many people covered with dirt. So he had a suitcase with him and he called one of the guys. Hey, come here. Do you speak English? Yes, I do, sir. Can you carry my suitcase? I have a reservation in the guest house. Yes, sir, I will carry. So the man carried his suitcase. And when he reached the guest house, he took out a dollar bill and he said, "This is American dollar. It's worth a lot more than your Indian rupee. I give you as a tip." He said, "No, sir, I don't take tips." No, it's very good. You can spend it. It's a good tip, $1. In these old days, dollar was worth more than nowadays. And the man said, "No, sir, I don't take tips. I don't need tips. I'm okay." And he went away. In the evening, there was a meeting with the master. And only people who had come from overseas were sitting around the master. And he saw a man in a suit and all that. Looked the same like the man who carried his suitcase. So he said, "Who is that guy sitting in that suit there? This is very similar. I've seen him." They said, "Yes, he is the chairman of these big companies. He's a multimillionaire out here. And he is a follower of the master." He realized that he had called a multimillionaire and offered him $1. The man had millions of dollars. So, but in the Seva, he could not recognize anybody. They were all leveled out. Seva is a great leveler. When you leveled, what is hit is your ego, nothing else. It's a reduction of your ego when you do Seva like that. So that is why when we used to have opportunities of doing Seva, no matter what kind of Seva it was a big, great opportunity and we always welcomed it. All I am doing now is doing Seva for my master. Sharing these experiences with you is just Seva for my master. If it helps you, I'll be very happy. If it doesn't, look for something better. Fully free. If people say, "Do you initiate?" I say, "No, I can't. I am nobody to initiate. I am nobody. Do I look like a master? Do I work like a master? Do I have anything common? No. No turban, no beards, no look at all. I am not a master. I am just a disciple of a perfect living master." Which is a big thing, to be disciple of a perfect living master and see in the love of the master. So that is why it's just merely a Seva. I am very happy to do this Seva for my master, which incidentally makes me come and make friends with you and become one who can share experiences so that it gives you some encouragement that what can be expected if you follow Surat Shabd Yoga. Supposing one is not a spiritual seeker, even then it's good for a person who seeks happiness to go within. Because nobody has found happiness outside. If they have found what they call happiness outside, it is so short-lived. It breaks up. We find little pleasure and we say it's giving us happiness. The pleasure disappears, very often replaced by pain. There's so many cases coming to me every day, talking to me, telling me of how they were so fond of something and then it all broke up. And now they are in great pain because the greater their attachment was to those things outside, the greater is their pain after that. So what kind of game is this? In our own families, in our family life, we have little babies born and we celebrate, bundle of joy has come. And we are so happy. We give all our attention, do everything we can to care for the little baby that's growing up. And when he grows up, we say, what a monster, what a rascal he's become. How different he has become. And how much we cared for him or her. And what is happening? It's happening all the time. We expect something and later on the same expectation becomes a disappointment for us. There's a great spiritual truth that if you expect, be ready for disappointment. If you don't expect, you won't have a disappointment. Can we lead a life of no expectations? Sure we can. Expectations are merely one side function of the mind. And if we say we live as we are, we accept what comes. Acceptance is a replacement for expectation. You either expect or accept. If you accept, whatever is being given to us, whatever is recorded for us, is our destiny. Let's enjoy it. Let's see the best we can make out of a program given to us called life. And then, no expectations. Whatever comes, good or bad, we don't expect anything, we accept it, and then we are happy about it. Just by giving up expectations, our life changes. And replace it with acceptance. Supposing we don't want to change, destiny will play its role anyway, whether you like it or not. Things will happen the way they are supposed to happen, no matter how hard you think to change it. People try very hard. Things don't happen the way they think about it. I remember a course I did in what program was called EST, E-S-T, Erhard's training. Mr. Erhard came and he gave that seminar, and I happened to attend it. Now, EST or A in French means is, what is. And the main theme was what is. That means what is reality of experience in this world. What ought to be is your mental imagination. You can keep on saying it ought to have been like this, it should have been like this was not right, this was not good, it's a waste of time. What is. So why not accept? So if you accept, life becomes very different. I am talking of those who are not spiritual candidates, but they just want to improve their own life. The change from expectation to acceptance changes your life immediately. It can be done anytime. And one can live life by, in the 60s I came, there was a great quote called "Go with the flow." And everybody said, "Go with the flow." What does it mean, go with the flow? It means go with whatever comes. It means live in the will of the destiny already created. Live in the will of the Creator who's created all this for us. So go with the flow is no different than acceptance. And if you accept what is there, then expectations can be erased from your life. And does it mean not having expectations means you should never think of some nice, bright things? No, it doesn't mean that. You can fantasize. You can imagine great things happening. You can imagine you are in a wonderful place, which you are not. And enjoy that. Enjoy the fantasy of your imagination. There is something very true about that. If you really imagine things sincerely, feeling they are as real as this life, they become real. Now, many of you must have seen this book called Secret, or the movie made Secret, in which they say the power of attraction, or that the power of attraction attracts whatever you are feeling. And it says that if you really believe that something will happen, and you believe it has already happened, it will happen. Part of the course in EST was to write down in a book. They gave us a notebook. Write down what you firmly believe should happen. Way out, 10 years later, 20 years later. Write all those things and keep that book with you and check out after 20 years, 10 years, what you wrote has any meaning or not. Most people reported that what they wrote then happened. So on the one hand, I am saying don't have expectations, but I am not saying that the enjoyment of fantasizing what could happen with a faith and belief. Now that is where the rub is. People miss that part. They say, I want to be a millionaire. I believe I am a millionaire. I am not a millionaire. I never became a millionaire. Now that's not the operation of that formula which is called Secret. That formula says you should fully believe it has happened. And if you can't fully believe it's happened, then it won't happen. The formula also says that when you believe, there should be no doubt. If you say, I want to be a millionaire, but I don't know if it will really happen, it will not happen. I will tell you about an email I received and read this morning. One of the initiates has asked me a question. He says, what is more important, Seva or Darshan? Supposing you are doing Seva and Master is somewhere there, should you interrupt your Seva, give a pause to have Darshan? If Darshan is more important, then one should give up the Seva and go and have Darshan. If Seva is more important, one should not go for Darshan at all. since I have been emphasizing the importance of both. If a conflict comes, either you are doing Seva or you are doing Darshan, which is more important? It's a difficult question because both are very important. In our spiritual life, both are important. So the via media answer I've given him, which I'm going to share with you, is when a perfectly master tells you directly, do this, you must do that as the highest. If that means missing darshan, missing satsang, missing everything, worthwhile. What the great master said personally was the highest in priority. If you are organizing something like meeting, like satsang, like get-together, and Seva is distributed for the organization, and there you find that during that Seva, a master's appearance will take place at some place, and you can pause in the Seva to have darshan and continue the Seva, then you can pause the Seva and go and do darshan and come back. If the organization is such that your absence, even for a short time, interrupts the arrangement that have been made, then do not interrupt it and continue to do Seva. So this is to play by ear at that time. What you think is most important. Both are very important in our spiritual journey. You have to use your own judgment. But as I said earlier, if a master personally says something and you are organizing something, give the highest priority to what he has said. That's the highest. Seva, never, nothing is better than that. But if it is merely an organizational event and you can have an interruption to have darshan and then do Seva, do that also. So that is the answer I gave, and I am sharing it with you also. So these are some of the issues that come. Another issue has come up that if we have to do our jobs in IT sector, in intellectual sectors, where the mind's attention is all needed in the job, should we put our attention on the job, or should we think of Simran and doing master's work or something? Isn't there a conflict? Isn't there a conflict in doing our worldly jobs, which require the same attention, and the attention that we have to place on the master, even by doing Simran all the time, remembering master all the time? Doesn't it create a conflict? That's another important question. And the answer is that you can put your whole attention on the work you are doing, the intellectual work you are doing, the IT work you are doing, any kind of work that needs your whole attention, thinking master is doing it. It's a combination. It does not mean that very thought, master doing everything, you put your whole attention, master doing it, remembering master anyway. And by the way, since the love and devotion is the secret of the spiritual path, remembering the master is a way of expressing your love. Therefore, remembering the master is more important than even your meditation. Meditation is also only successful when you are remembering the master in meditation. I have shared the story of my friend Hira Singh, who lived in Ludhiana. He had a foundry, a factory, had a nice house next to the factory, and a big yard, open yard. He used to have satsang there. He was initiated by great master at the same time I was initiated. I went about doing my various jobs. I was selected to the IAS, worked in the government here, then I was doing businesses in America, doing various kinds of things, whereas he was busy in one place doing meditation regularly, attending satsang regularly. Great master passed away. He went to the other masters who were available and went to their satsang. That a very nice, good spiritual life. After many years, I came from America with one of my friends, an American friend. He wanted to see where is the dera you were initiated. I took him to the dera, I took him to other places. And there was also a wrestler master who had become a disciple of great master Baba Pratap Singh in Taran Taran. I took him there.
And then I said, I want to take you to the great Satsangi who's still here in Ludhiana. And Ludhiana is a town where I also worked. I was Vice Chancellor of the Agricultural University there. I said, I'll show you the university and I'll also take you to the house of my friend who was initiated with me. So after showing him all the scenes there, I took him to Hira Singh's house. As it happened, one master was giving satsang there. In that lawn, in that open courtyard, there were about 50, 60, maybe 100 satsangis there, and he was giving a discourse. So as I came with that American disciple with me, was standing, I said, hey, wait, when the satsang is over, I will introduce you to this master also. He happens to be here. But the master saw us from the stage. He called. So I walked up, I said, you finish your satsang, and I brought a guest from America, and we want to spend a little time with you. He said, satsang finished, and he got up. Of course, which impressed my friend a lot. And then we went in. We spent a little time with that master. Then we came out. I met many old friends who I had not seen for a few years because I had moved to America. They began to ask me questions, some about America, some about is spirituality really moving there, Arts of Sangi is really more interested in spirituality than India, things like that. Some are spiritual questions also. I answered them as best as I could. After time, Hira Singh comes to me. He says, can I ask you a question? I say, yes, Hira Singh, what is it? He said, my question is, you and I are initiated by the same master. I have followed the instructions of the master fully. I have done 2.5 hours of meditation every day from the day I was initiated. I have attended every satsang. I have not seen anything inside. And I don't know what you have done, but you seem to have seen something that you are answering people's questions. How this discrimination took place? How come that great master gave you something, did not give me, where I followed his instructions fully? I said, why did you not ask this question from great master? He said, I asked that I am seeing nothing. What did he say? He smiled and he said, keep doing your meditation with love and devotion. I said, so many other masters come to your house, giving satsangs in your house. Why don't you ask them? He said, I asked them. What did they say? They smiled and said, yeah, do your meditation with love and devotion. He said, nothing worked. And you tell me now. I said, look, I'll give you a secret today. When people ask me questions and they think I am going to give the answer, I have no answer. I get the answers from my master who is sitting inside. I tell my great master, Baba Sawan Singh Ji, please, this man is asking this question. What is the answer? He tells me quietly inside. I tell people, they think I am giving the answer. He said, why don't you put my question also to your master now, to our master? I said, I will. He said, do you need to go anywhere to put the question? I said, no, I don't have to go anywhere. But master takes his own time to answer questions. Sometimes he answers quickly, sometimes it takes time. He said, okay, go to the master, tell me the answer. I said, master is very busy at this time. He takes time to answer. How long will it take? I said, this difficult question, he will take 6 months. I must tell you, I said 6 months because I was going back to America that day and had to come back after 6 months. I just got time. This is a confession, by the way. Anyway, I came back after 6 months. After my visit to Delhi and other places, I went to Ludhiana and I met Hira Singh. I said, Hira Singh got the answer from great master. He said, what is the answer? He said, great master smiled and he said, tell Hira Singh to do his meditation with love and devotion. Same answer he gave you 40 years ago. Same answer every master gave you. But you missed out something. You missed out the last few words of that answer. The answer was, do your meditation, you heard that, with love and devotion. You missed. You were doing meditation mechanically. I have to close my eyes and repeat the words, then I will go somewhere. You repeat the word like a parrot, you go nowhere. You were doing mechanical meditation. The spiritual path is not a mechanical path. You missed the last few words. Do with love and devotion. He says, what is the meaning of doing meditation with love and devotion? I said, when you are in love with somebody, you think of something else and then say, I am loving that person. You think of the person you are loving. Think of the Master. Talk to the Master. Before you start your meditation, close your eyes, remember the Master, talk to him, tell him your problem, talk to him like a friend, then do meditation. And continuously remember, Master there when you're doing meditation. Once in a while, if you get tired, Master, I am tired, will you do meditation for me? He will do meditation for you also. That is love and devotion for meditation. Try now. I'll come again in 6 months. I have to report back to Master what you did. So I left. 6 months later I was back. Went to Ludhiana. He made more progress in 6 months in going to higher planes than he did in 40 years. Such an important lesson. And I'm sharing it with you because meditation on the spiritual path is a meditation with love and devotion. It's not a mechanical exercise at all. Therefore, remember your Master. Dhyan. 3 parts of the initiation we get. Simran, Shabad, Dhyan. Simran, repetition of words ourselves, become effective when you start listening to them. Sound only comes when you see the center sound and not get confined to right side or left side. And Dhyan, when you remember the Master, not made up an image of him. Remember as you actually had his darshan. If you do these things, you'll be successful. Thank you very much once again. Great Master blessings on all of you.